Moving Iron Podcast is proud to be part of the Global Ag Network. The network is going live soon, so check out globalagnetwork.com for more details and updates. Now on to the show.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving higher.
Good morning and welcome to Market Roundup with Angie Setzer. Angie, it's Monday morning here, and we have started out the week, and looks like not much news other than the typical China stuff that we've talked about for however many months now, and waiting for something to happen there. Trump made a tweet on Friday, like you said earlier, when we were getting ready for this, about he didn't really see a need to slap any more tariffs on if they're willing to come back to the table. So I guess what's your interpretation of that, and where do you see things like that heading and ending up?
Yeah, China. If it's not China, then I guess we don't want to talk about it, right? So yeah, Trump tweeted on Friday that he didn't see the need to put other tariffs in place if they were willing to negotiate, which at this point they obviously are willing to take the steps necessary to get at least to the negotiating table. Who knows what that actually means? But it does look like they're saying the same thing that they've been saying since about May. We did see over the weekend, this was kind of interesting, just simply because it's not usual out of China to see, their former lead trade negotiators. So the gentleman responsible for getting them into the WTO, which took place in 2001, came out this weekend and said that to use soybeans or a commodity as a bargaining chip when it comes to trade was ill-conceived and a very poor approach. So the man responsible for this, hopefully he's still alive today because he is in China, but is well respected. Like I said, he was one of the gentlemen that got him into the WTO, that allowed them to really kind of take off in the way that they have over the last 20 years. Obviously, their middle class has increased by something like 75% over the last 2 decades as a result of being in the World Trade Organization and being considered a global trade partner. So he has a little bit of clout, you could say. And so this is one of the first signs that we've seen where people in China are like, hey, wait a minute, you're messing with our food. So between the fact that they kind of cut their nose off to spite their face and limiting their supplier when it comes to soybeans, soybean meal, and forms of protein in that direction, but also beef, pork, things like that, with this ASF situation hitting a critical point, with it being in their wild boar population and being discovered in their largest pork-producing province, obviously they're starting to feel a little bit of pressure there as well. So not only have they seen, pressure start to kind of amass when it comes to their economy, their stock market and things of that nature has really fallen out of bed, over the last few months here. And then at the same time, with ASF just alone, without anything other than that, you saw pork prices increase 10, 15, 20% in some areas because you don't have the ability to move it from where it's being produced to where it's needed. So I would say that perhaps, one of the things that we've always said about China is that they watch what they do, not what they say. And so right now, I think we're probably discovering that, not only are they feeling the pressure from an increase in prices due to the disease, but they're also feeling the pressure from a lack of available supply, by cutting off one of the largest global producers of agricultural products, in the world.
Yeah. That's one thing is getting to be a bigger mess. Like I was talking last night with Chip Nellinger, that it comes and goes. You're like, we'll think it's kind of nothing about it for a while, and then 2-3 weeks go by, and all of a sudden something like this pops up, and it just drives the trade either up or way down, and it just makes it super volatile. So it's going to be something to pay attention to, especially now with it being in the wild boar population there, and it's just going to be super hard to control from that point forward.
Yeah, the hog market's already volatile anyway.
Yeah.
It's always crazy. I always thought wheat was crazy, and then I started paying attention to cattle and thought that was crazy, and then I had to start paying attention to hogs, and my mind was blown. So it's already a weird market structure anyway. But then to have all of this factored in and everything like that, you're going to see some continued volatility. And, every night before we go to sleep, obviously, we pray that it just stays in China and doesn't find a way to spread elsewhere as well. So we'll definitely be watching that. And, we're 10 days away from the G20 summit where President Trump and the Chinese president are supposed to sit down. So hopefully we'll see some positive news continue out of that for us. But soybeans did close on Friday at their highest level since August 13th. So it's something to be aware of when, you're looking at pricing or have beans in the bin or something of that nature. Never be too... don't forget the whole buy the rumor, sell the fact too, that, sometimes you'll see folks buy on the idea that it'll, China's going to be fixed. And so what happens if they buy ahead of it and it's fixed? I guess we'll see. So.
Yeah. So I want your opinion on this. Last night I had Chip Nelliger on for our Sunday show that we do, and we're talking about trouble getting wheat planted in Texas, Oklahoma, in that area where there's been a bunch of rain, a bunch of snow, and those kind of things. Harvest was kind of a hard thing anyway, and then you throw planting delays on top of that. We kind of missed the window for wheat. What's your opinion of those wheat acres down there that didn't get planted? What's your opinion of what's going to take the place?
I don't know. I think a lot of guys are going to leave it up in the air to see what happens. You'll really have to check with them. I would say, depending on the grower, you might be looking at cotton, maybe milo. It really is going to depend. Up here, we're in the same situation here in Michigan. We didn't get, most of my growers are 1/5 of what they had intended to plant because it just seemed to start raining in October and never stopped. So for them, it's going to be up in the air. First of all, anything that did get planted, a lot of folks are going to have to wait until March or April to see if it even looks worth saving. The stuff that didn't get planted, they're going to flip the coin between corn and beans. And I have some guys that are leaning towards corn, and I have some guys leaning towards beans. So it just really depends on what was, in it last season, what they're up against when it comes to disease, pest, pressure, things of that nature, and just what they figure. So it's like a hot potato right now, what we've got going on with the acreage debate next year, except, no one wants it. Everyone, corn and beans both, once they catch it, they throw it back. So obviously the cotton market was a little bit stronger. It may push some folks in that direction. It'll probably continue to show some strength. And then milo, I think, tends to be easier and maybe cheaper to produce. But I wouldn't be surprised if it all is up to what corn weather or what weather does in the spring.
Right on.
If it rains, it's going to be corn.
Yep, right on. Right on, Angie. All right, well, Angie, if folks want to get a hold of you and pick your brain about markets and just anything else that might come up, how would they do that?
I can be reached on Twitter at Goddess of Grain, or you can email me at asetzer@citizenselevator.com.
Okay, and you can find this podcast on the Global Ag Network, just like Angie and her Girls Talk Ag podcast. So looking forward to working with her over the coming years here, and glad to be part of the team.
Go team!
Right on. All right, Angie. Well, you have a good rest of the day. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
You too. See you later.
All right. Goodbye.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here.